Welcome back to Mel on the Street. I'm joined today by Oliver Jeffcot, VP of Platforms and Enterprise Partnerships. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me. Really excited to be here.
I want to start by asking you if you can tell me and introduce the listeners to what Uphold is and what is your role at the company.
Sure. So my role is VP of Platform and Enterprise Partnerships. So what I typically focus on really is kind of two key areas of the business. The first is our enterprise partnerships. So working with a lot of our big partners, people that are trying to use our services, our API solutions, anything that we've built for our consumer base that they now want to use for part of their business offering. The second piece of my role is really the platform role. So working with our connectivity teams and kind of cross-functionally across our engineering, product, working with the FinOps teams, working with everybody essentially within Uphold and all of the major business units within the wider group to enable better connectivity, increase our international expansion, our reach, and essentially the growth of the company.
Right. So what does Uphold do?
So Uphold, essentially what we're trying to do in our mission is to enable modern infrastructure for on-chain finance. What that really means is, and within the business, we have a couple of business units. The first we're very well known for. We started back in 2014 as a brokerage for consumer users, retail customers to be able to buy, sell, hold, and trade digital assets.
Okay.
And then since that process, we've really grown over the last decade. We've built out our enterprise offerings, our institutional offerings, even going as far as allowing people to issue cards. So our retail customers can also not just buy, sell, trade, and hold crypto, but also actually spend their crypto on a card as well, which is super exciting as offering.
So in terms of the expansion, you've mentioned retail traders and enterprise. Mm-hmm. Where did it start? Where are you going? And you also talked about Uphold being a global company. So can you sort of walk us through the path?
Sure. So Uphold started in the United States in 2014. We've been building the platform for over a decade now. We're very well known, especially in the United States, for our retail presence, so the Uphold Consumer Wallet, as we call it. Here we allow customers to buy, sell, trade, and also spend digital assets. And we've since grown that platform to serve customers in now over 150 countries. And what we've really learned and how we're kind of growing that platform is really interesting, because what we've learned to essentially build all of these features and microservices for our retail platform, and we're now taking that across for our enterprise offering. So you can think of Uphold Enterprise essentially as a suite of microservices that are offering on-chain finance and all of this kind of sub pieces of Uphold. So if you're a business, for example, and you're looking for exposure to crypto services, for example, or payment services, custody, card issuing, for example, you can take all of those pieces through Uphold Enterprise and use those as part of your business offering. And the real benefit about that is what we can do is, as a business and as somebody coming to Uphold as a customer, they can actually go to market rather than spending tens of millions of dollars and essentially spending tens of millions of dollars and also having to get a compliance team, hiring huge teams, managing all of these pieces. Uphold can use our experience and build that for them, essentially. And in terms of our growth, we're a very global platform. We're always looking for new growth opportunities, new areas. We have clients in all parts of the world. So we're really just trying to focus on where there are really clear use cases for people to use on-chain finance as part of their daily lives, whether you're a consumer or whether you're a business.
So I want to talk specifically about that term, on-chain. So for our listeners, can you talk about what that means and then why it's important and where that technology is heading?
Sure. So the traditional finance, industry, essentially, with payments as a good example, it's very slow, it's very costly, it's very inefficient. You have people that are trying to move money from one country to another. There's a good analogy, which is, I can take money out of my UK account, put it in a briefcase and fly it to my cousins in Australia faster than I can pay them. over the traditional rails today. So what we're trying to do with Uphold, especially with OnChain Finance, is allowing blockchain technology and blockchain infrastructure to connect those broken pieces of the traditional finance rails, traditional finance ecosystem, and put that together into a really cohesive, transparent, cheap, fast mechanism for people to use, whether you're a retail consumer, customer, or whether you're a business looking for those types of services. That could be cross-border remittance, it could be payouts on a global scale, it could be international payroll, for example. Just making that as efficient as possible. And I think really it goes back to our mission at Uphold, and specifically on our enterprise side, which is producing modern infrastructure for on-chain finance. That's what we're trying to do for businesses.
And that leads me sort of into the next question that I have about regulation. In terms of regulation, what pain points have there been for Uphold, and what might there also still be coming in the future in terms of issues?
That's a great question. Crypto and blockchain as a industry, it's still a very nascent technology. We even today have many countries where blockchain is still very unregulated completely. We have other areas in the world that are starting to build out really clear regulations about how businesses can operate, how they can offer services to consumers in a safe, transparent, and reliable way. It's pretty clear that we've had a number of issues, not Uphold, but as an industry, in terms of working with previous administrations. For example, even in the US, the current administration has really changed the way that they see crypto companies. And I think what was very difficult for Uphold, as well as most of the large crypto enabled neobanks, exchanges, wallet platforms, is when there is not clear regulation, it's very, very difficult to operate. So I think one of the big benefits is, we obviously have in Europe, for example, MiCA. That's really, really helped to give a really good sense of what we can and cannot do as a business. And I think that clarity is only going to grow. Regulation is necessary, for people to function, for markets to function in a proper way, to protect customers, to protect businesses that are trying to use those services. And so I think it has been difficult at times, but I think we're starting to turn a corner within the crypto industry. And you can see, as regulation grows, and I think as we start to get a clearer picture, especially in some of the bigger markets globally, of how we kind of treat these assets, how we can operate effectively. And I think it's a really good thing for the industry.
So in terms of technology, what do you see upcoming, and how will that change things for Uphold? This is sort of my last question to you. So you can sort of take it away in terms of what you see, how is technology going to evolve for the crypto industry, and what will that mean for Uphold?
Interesting. Yeah. So I think I quite like the kind of, if you take a step back and kind of look at not just crypto, but even if you go back to when you used to do phone calls, 20, 30 years ago, you try and call someone from the US into the UK, right? You pick up the phone, it would cost a lot of money. And then the internet came in, and there was innovation that happened, and we developed voice over internet protocol, right? You can now make those calls through internet technology and service providers for essentially next to no cost. That's a 0 to 1 improvement, and I think there's a very clear vision that I see with crypto, which is on the banking and payment side. Your digital wallet is going to become your account, your one checking account that you use for everyday life. I think it's very clear as a consumer, especially for myself, and I think people that are within my kind of age range, and for my children and my children's children, they want convenience, they want speed, transparency, and realistically, using digital assets and on-chain finance, you get all of those clear, benefits that you just can't get with the traditional finance system today alone. Crypto acts as that connectivity layer, and now you even you have the the blockchain piece, which connects those financial systems together.
Mhm.
You can then have the protocols that are speaking to other protocols. You can then have stable coins that are put on top of those. So you can start to move, digital equivalent US dollars almost instantaneously with no cost. And I think for me, that's something that is super exciting. And with Uphold, obviously, is a platform that has tens of millions of customers using digital wallets that we provide, as well as a lot of our services ranging from payments through to crypto services, liquidity, OTC trading.
Mm-hmm.
We can provide all of those necessary pieces for businesses to be able to enable that future. And I think that's really exciting for us.
Yeah, it is. And so I just want to ask you, you said tens of millions of people with the wallet. How does adoption continue to take place at such a quick rate, and what's the barrier? What do you have to fight with people on, in a way to say, this makes sense, this is quicker for you, that what do you need to provide to them in order to get that buy-in?
Yeah. I think it's probably a couple of things. The biggest one that I see personally is convenience, right? So if you tried to create a crypto wallet 6, 7, 8 years ago, you were probably doing so through a terminal. You had a very high technological barrier to entry. The user experience of trying to do that was terrible, which
Mm-hmm.
means you would never get mass adoption for that. If you look at some of the wallets today and products, either on the custodial side or the non-custodial side, within crypto and the crypto industry, some of the user experiences now are beautiful, almost mimicking that of, most of the, major financial services and fintech providers that we try to use in our day-to-day lives, whether it's, your UK banking application or your US, your Wells Fargo checking account. They're mimicking those user experiences and trying to beat those user experiences. And by having that beautiful user experience, the convenience of having really cheap, easy to use financial services and products through these applications, it's very clear to see why people would move from what they currently use into products like Uphold.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come in and talk to me today.
Not a problem. Thank you so much.